Twin Bill, where you can get your fill of hosts Jason and Marcus talking about movies and stuff. You know you never can get enough. A twin is two people who are related. Twin Bill. This season is Razzie Mania. Hello, welcome to Twin Bill podcast where two twins talk about a movie. And we're continuing our march through the Golden Raspberry Awards for Razzie Mania. I'm here as always with my identical twin brother, Marcus Luna. How are you doing this evening, Marcus?
Still battling a cold a little bit, but I was excited to talk about this film. I didn't realize Frank Sinatra acted at this age. In other words, I'm raring to go.
In other words, start the podcast. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm excited to talk about this movie. Did you see anything this week other than the first Deadly Sin?
Uh, no, should make a pact to watch 2 films a week so I can make this segment more interesting. I did watch more Wonder Man. Um, that's about it. It's been a busy week of soccer and stuff. Have you watched anything interesting?
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on a movie we discussed off the air. Send Help, the latest Sam Raimi joint.
Hmm.
Uh, I liked it, but it was kind of like I don't know, it was just fine. It's very genre basics for me. But what I do want to talk about is a horrible movie. I knew it was gonna be horrible. It's called Alien Sex Party. It was early 90s attempt to jump on the sort of Kevin Smith Mallrats chasing Amy bandwagon. And it's set in a porn store, and there's a lot of movies like this, but in my life I've never wished more for just some kind of gratuitous nudity in a movie to punctuate the boredom. But there's none. It's just like yeah, Kevin Smith-esque dialogue about how porn works, and yeah, it's like Clerks, and but it's a porn store, and even has a cameo slash role for can't remember their names.
Moby?
Well, that was my big reveal at the end, but no, the character in Clerks who runs the store side, the main character,
Oh,
is it Dante?
yeah, it's Dante. I was gonna say Randall, but Randall's the.
I wish Randall's in this, but no, Dante's in the movie. It's bad. And then I was gonna like a trivia question slash note. Who would you think produced and had a cameo in this odd, awful, unfunny comedy? And yep, it's Moby.
Well, because you Google it and it says Moby presents Alien Sex
Yeah, it's
Party.
just a full title, but try to do a little storytelling for the audience. Yeah,
Sorry, it's 2026. I Google things when you start talking
and
about
then
them.
it's called Alien Sex Party, and the aliens show up at the end, and it's not crucial to the plot at all. And God, that was bad. And don't watch it. Don't find it. I guess is more accurate because it's not.
It's actually in the same universe, I guess, because Dante kind of plays himself.
He plays a character that's like that, so yeah, probably is. But yeah, but I don't think Kevin Smith would have approved that on a
But
spirit
he
level.
didn't get a writing credit or a producing credit, so
Yeah, I mean, I guess everything that's popular is gonna have a knockoff. It's like Rule 34, where everything becomes porn, and in this case, everything becomes a bad movie. All right. Now, after that segue, let's talk about the first Deadly Sin. What a title! I don't know. I don't know what that aside means, but okay. First Deadly Sin is directed by Brian G. Hutton. It was supposed to be Roman Polanski, but he was fired in pre-production because he was, uh, everyone knows this, I guess, being charged for sexual assault of a minor. That's yeah, yeah,
Wow.
it's fun. Yeah.
So if he didn't do that, he was scheduled and by all accounts wanted to do it.
Yes, he agreed to do it. It wasn't a hypothetical or a pitch or anything. So,
Man.
and I made some notes. I mean, Chinatown's a pretty loose definition of a genre, but there's correlations to this movie, an investigation that's struggling and getting complicated. Uh, there's corrupt police officers, kind of dark ending, and bad stuff happening to Faye Dunaway. It's a little more ludicrous in Chinatown. The levels of her, you know,
So you
that
think that's why Faye Dunaway did it, the movie? Because then she just agreed to stay on when the director changed.
I don't know. We both listened to the what happened. What's it called? What
What
went
went
wrong
wrong?
about Chinatown? Polanski's not a fun person to work with, but he did get a good performance out of her. I think that's why she got cast in this movie for sure, and just in general because of her star power from Network and whatever. But I don't know if it's a direct Polanski thing. Well, obviously, she was willing to work with him again. I guess. I guess, but that's all I know. Yeah, quickly. Brian Hutton is best known to me and probably many people for his '60s. I don't know what you call it. They're not epics, but they're like war action movies. Where Eagles Dare and Kelly's Heroes. Is that what you would call it? An action movie?
Action adventure war, I guess. Well, obviously Kelly's Heroes is more comedy, but
I did enjoy Where Eagles Dare. It's not like the most scintillating movie, but good performances from Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton. It's a good movie. Never saw Kelly's Heroes, which is most known to people as the Don Rickles one.
you'd enjoy it a lot, actually.
Yeah, Hutton seems like a not a auteur, but a workman's director or whatever. Yeah. Uh, and then in a connection to this movie, he directed the forgotten Liz Taylor vehicle, which is a sentence we said on this podcast before. Anyway, it's a what's it called? God,
Night Watch.
yeah, yeah. And the fun fact of the movie, that movie co-starred Lawrence Harvey, who I don't think you saw that Manchurian Candidate, but he played uh the sleeper agent in the Manchurian Candidate. It was an
Mm-hmm.
excellent movie, but yes. Frank
I
Sinatra connection. But
I
yeah.
haven't seen it yet, you know.
And then his last movie, it's kind of a downer. It might be on this podcast. I don't know if it was popular enough to even get a Razzie nomination. Uh, Indiana Jones knockoff High Road to China, where Tom Selleck plays by a former World War One pilot who plays by his own rules.
Didn't he turn down Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yep. So I guess he felt like he wanted to get back in it by doing a much worse movie. I don't know about I'm sure that's what happened with the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but that story's so legendary. I'm not even sure how true it is, but I'm sure it is. We both also listened to a podcast on that one, but whatever. Anyway, so we have a screenplay by Man Rubin. This is literally his only feature film that I could find that he directed, that he wrote. He wrote for Mannix in one episode alone of The Bionic Woman. And then, okay, I'm gonna pitch you the premise for the TV movie he wrote and see if you think it's a good idea. So Robert Culp is a struggling actor and he gets kidnapped by mistake. So he makes a deal with his kidnappers since he needs the money that he'll go along with the kidnapping and split the take with the kidnappers. Is that a good idea for a movie?
Why would the kidnappers need him to.
because they kidnapped him.
Oh,
He'll
I get
pretend
it,
he'll
but
pretend to
they
be the John that they missed.
but they're trying to get a ransom from his family, I assume something, right? Still,
Yeah, so they would recognize him if it was a picture, but I guess there's some way he can impersonate the intended kidnappee. So obviously this is not going well for a pitch session. The movie's called "See the Man Run," which is a terrible title, but it's like a Dick and Jane book. Uh, this this movie's based on a. I'm kind of laughing because okay, you'll see. This is based on a crime novel by the crime novelist. Imagine that, Lawrence Sanders. And the funny thing is, he really wanted to make books about sins happen. There are three other Edward Delaney Deadly Sin books, and
I
he had an unrelated character in four books about the Ten Commandments. So he really wanted to make this whole biblical theology thing work. And I guess it did, but yeah.
There's trivia for you. Do you know what the first deadly sin is?
Well, it was part of my trying to get you to guess it last week on the podcast, but pride.
Yes.
So I mean, if you think about it, it's a very good allusion to the character of Edward Delaney. We'll talk about more, but he's trying to push through this case while he's super old, about to retire, and his wife's dying, but he's still trying to maintain a facade that he's doing his job or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Can't imagine. It's not one of those movies where the author got to write the screenplay like um The Island.
Yeah.
I, does Frank Sinatra show any sign of pride or anything in this movie?
I just described it. He doesn't tell anyone at the police precinct that his wife's dying, and he acts like he can do the job when he's super old and gonna retire in 2 weeks. So the movie doesn't do a great job of like. Oh, I think we get into it. I think the movie does a great job of showing his struggles, but that's the pride that they're alluding
I
to.
don't know. I guess he's prideful but he's doing a great service to the community by trying to track a serial killer, and then he's very sweet with his wife.
Yeah, but he doesn't tell anyone at the office about his wife. I'm kind of reading into it a little, but
He does tell people about his wife.
okay, never mind. But my point still remains that he's trying to hide parts of his soul from the job or whatever. But whatever. Yeah. It's my interpretation, which is the right
He
one.
just
Anyway,
You're right. No, you're at least partially right because he doesn't ask for help.
yeah, and at the end, spoiler alert, when his wife's dying, he suffers it alone in the hospital room. More about Lawrence Sanders. He had two other movie adaptations. Uh, yeah, both back in 1971, which is specific. But the first one, which I'm surprised I never heard of, it's called The Anderson Tapes, directed by Sidney Lumet, about Sean Connery and Martin Balsam robbing a bank, involves the mafia, and most importantly, co-stars the star of Coast to Coast, Diane Cannon. And then the
You
weirdest one, which might be a typo on IMDb, he wrote the screenplay for it. It's not based on his book, any of his books. It's called Fornicon, and based on the poster, it's like this lurid, hey, watch this movie. It's got S&M porn in it, and it's like imported from England, so you know it's raunchy for Americans. I don't know. Doesn't sound like his kind of book, but his kind of story. But yeah.
Strange character, but I'm seeing he's born in Brooklyn, and this is a very New York movie.
Yep. I briefly mention his biggest character claim to fame in literature, other than Edward X. Delaney. The X stands for excitement. But he wrote a character named Archie McNally, who sounds really insufferable. It's a private investigator in Florida who wears colorful clothes and lives with his parents.
Sounds like when he said live with his parents, gets sounds like Confederacy of Dunces and
Yeah. I was thinking Pinchin like Doc Sportello in the Inherent Vice. That was called.
Yeah, it's the one with
And also, sorry to interrupt you, but the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas guy kind of dresses like that too. But yeah, yeah,
oh, Hunter S. Thompson.
yeah. This movie is produced by three people. One of them is Frank Sinatra himself. Uh, he seemed to have a thing where he would produce smaller movies starring himself in order to get them made. His biggest producing credit is Robin in the Seven Hoods, which is set in Prohibition Chicago. I thought it would have been set in Sherwood Forest or something, but
I put that on TCM one day. This was years ago. I was not a lot on, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And then literally hit the Sammy Davis Jr. singing. So it's like a Rat Pack vehicle.
yeah, all yeah. Well, I was gonna say all of his movies, all of the one, yeah. It's like Ocean's 11, same thing, yeah. Uh, yes, also produced by Elliot Kastner, who produced Where Eagles Dare. So see why I got this gig, or maybe why he hired Hutton after Polanski left. Very successful producer. He produced Altman's Long Goodbye 7 years before this. In 1987, he produced the very weird looking Mickey Rourke as a private investigator, and the very satanic looking Robert De Niro. It's called Angel Heart. And then he produced the movie I really want to see, the Frank Darabont Blob remake in 1988. And Frank Darabont will come up a lot in this podcast because most of the character actors remind me of Frank Darabont movies. Movies produced by George Pappas. He produced in 1986 Nomads, directed by Die Hard's John McTiernan, about Pierce Brosnan investigates some punks who live in a van, one of whom is Adam Ant, and there may be something supernatural going on. But the really weird one is George Pappas produced. Oh, I'll just say like this: George Pappas produced Heat. Pause, pause, pause. The 1986 Heat, starring Burt Reynolds as a nice guy bodyguard, directed by everyone's favorite director, Raise the Titanic's Jerry Jameson. Jerry Jameson.
I feel like the VHS of Burt Reynolds' Heat should start with a pre-recorded clip of Burt Reynolds going, "You thought you were watching that fun bank robber flick. Joke's
Oh,
on you."
oh, come here, you're going down. Actually, Jerry Jameson was fired and was an uncredited director on IMDb, so I assume he was replaced midstream. But still funny that he directed that. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep going on. The music's by uh, a very old man. His name's Gordon Jenkins. This is his last composing job. It's like an old joke. Gordon Jenkins is so old
How old is
that his
he?
credits at IMDb are for songs he wrote for Benny Goodman and Johnny Mercer in the 30s. Like,
Nice.
did you know P.S. I Love You, the rom com, uses a uh technically Johnny Mercer song, but also a Gordon Jenkins composition as its titular song.
The one where Gerard Butler dies and leaves voice memos.
Yes, that's why it's called P.S. I Love You, because they got that song. His most famous score in his quote unquote prime is probably Moana Devil in 1952, which actually sounds pretty cool. Robert Stack has to figure out how to stop a lion that's eating a railway crew in Africa. Listen here, lion, you gotta stop eating people. Dun, dun, dun. I don't have any thoughts on the score. I like the movie a lot, so there was probably some good underlying score, kept the things moving. But I never sat back and was like, "Wow, listen to that propulsive song or anything."
I liked it because the only song it didn't seem present a lot of the time. But I liked the let's call it the ice pick killer theme, where when he's on the prowl, he played the violin scored music.
Yeah.
I liked it. Do you remember that song?
I mean, the scenes, like I was saying, the scenes were memorable, so there must have been subconsciously, I must have been affected by the music, but I didn't notice a lot. But yeah, that sounds right.
The very beginning of the movie when because the movie starts off with spoiler, I guess the ice pick guy
No, yeah,
setting the stage for what he does.
and he just that. I was gonna say cool. It's not cool when someone dies in a movie, but it was kind of, that he sort of stabs the guy, and you think the guy's gonna get away, and he gets hit by a car. That was probably the most exciting sequence in the whole movie. Also had the sting in it, obviously the stinger in it. The sting, musical sting, yeah, not the wrestler. It's sting. Anyway, let's talk about the cast. I obviously have Frank Sinatra as Edward X. Delaney, I was gonna say elderly, the old police officer with the sick wife. Whole You could do a whole podcast series about his acting career. Very talented and prolific actor.
Did
I
they
love that.
ever? They didn't explain why his middle initial is X, did they?
No, it
It's
seems,
distracting.
yeah, it
He
just seems like,
introduced himself that way too. Just you can't just say I'm sorry, Edward Delaney, Edward X Delaney.
no, yeah, it's such a weird. I'm cool, but I'm not move. Any Anyway, yeah. Uh, so in 1968, which is full 12 years before this movie, he did a movie called The Detective, which is technically a prequel or whatever you want to call it to Die Hard, because they adapted the sequel to that book. Anyway, similar plot, except it's quasi John McClane. Not even named John McClane in the movie, but yeah. And then so he basically almost retired after that movie. He got kind of inspired by this movie and made that, and then he basically retired again after this. He did play himself in Cannonball Run 2. I saw that movie. It's not that great.
Yeah. Hey, pals, you're going on a race across the country.
Yeah, I kind of remember his cameo. That was about it. I'm sure he was because the whole gimmick is because they have Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. as the wacky ones who are disguises. So I think it was those three talking was his cameo. And then we have Faye Dunaway as Barbara Delaney, Edward's ailing wife. As I mentioned, she was kind of on a hot streak that ended pretty much around the time of this movie. But yeah, they had Network, Chinatown, a little before that, Bonnie and Clyde. So, and 4 years from this movie, we'll see you on this podcast for Supergirl. Everyone's in Supergirl.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say "Mommy Dearest."
Well, that's next year too. You're right. But Faye Dunaway's full of surprises. Uh, the in my opinion, the weakest part of the whole movie, we have David Dukes, which is a really unfortunate name in hindsight, but as quasi spoiler alert, but not really, because you see him pretty early on. Daniel Blank, the mysterious guy with the climbing pike thing, hitting people in the head.
He died young.
I didn't get a read on that.
He just had a heart attack at 55. Um,
Yeah, he's mostly a TV actor. Never really established himself as an actor. Was not very good in this movie either, in terms of line readings and stuff.
I
He
don't.
did it.
I
And
struggle with quote unquote bad acting a lot because maybe it's just perspective. I guess I have seen bad actors. See last week with Blue Lagoon, but I thought the flaws with him were due to how he was written.
I think it's both. I mean, you could just at least I can tell characters. Good actors just have a certain life to their eyes that they're in character. He felt a little more, but I agree that the character was really poorly established. It's like a guy who lives in a nice apartment and shaves his head.
He has he does heavy weightlifting. He just has too many things going on. And he has ice sculptures or glass sculptures in his apartment.
There's glass, but yeah,
He wears a wig for some reason, I guess just to hide his identity, but um
yeah. It was weird because almost gay coded, but it was that wasn't. They didn't really come up in the movie or anything.
he does have the There was a documentary on Netflix about how this is harmful, but the gay voice inflect a little bit when he starts talking,
Yeah,
but it's kind of coded because they never talk about who he's into.
no. Yeah, so anyway, speaking of gay stuff, uh David Dukes had a small part in the 1998 Oscar nominated movie Gods and Monsters as a film executive. Not a very big role. And the weirdest movie in this whole show, probably, and a red letter media favorite. Shout out Red Letter Media. Uh, he was the leading man in the Clive Barker 1986 film called Rawhead Rex. So you can pull up the poster of it or something on your computer because it's a 1986 movie about an Irish like monster or demon wraith or something gets summoned, and it looks like if you turned a talking horse into a Muppet. Are you looking at it?
The hell is that?
It's a
The
Rawhead
poster,
Rex. It's supposed to be based on mythology or something. Yeah.
it's like a man thing body with a gargoyle head.
It's supposed to be an Irish mythological figure, but I don't know what it's supposed to look like. It's called the Rawhead.
His head's in
Rawhead.
his, looks like his head's going through his armpit.
I think it's just he's bent over or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
I do love me some Clive Barker. I love both Hellraiser movie, first two Hellraiser movies, and there's a talking about this movie where I can't remember the title. It's gonna take me too long to look it up, but where guy directed The Fly. What am I blanking his name?
Cronenberg?
Cronenberg plays the serial killer villain in it.
Oh, yeah, I like Barker. I didn't like well again, there's a lot of bad Clive Barker movies out there to find. But anyway,
And I don't read that much, but I did read the Hellraiser book, and that was excellent as well.
let's read that itself. Okay, so I'm gonna do a version of me talking quasi like a game show. See how this goes. I'll give you a character actor who's in this movie. If you recognize them from anything else they've ever been in, even vaguely, I'll give you a point. Let's go, try to do this kind of a little more rapid fire. We have James Whitmore as kindly medical examiner Dr. Sanford Ferguson. Do you recognize him?
No, he was old enough. I'm sure he's been in things, but I couldn't place him.
So my favorite James Whitmore reference is he was in a Twilight Zone where the spaceship crashed on an asteroid, and James Whitmore builds up this like society of survivors, and then this other spaceship comes in to rescue them, and then James Whitmore's like, "No, you can't leave. You got to stay here with me forever." And like James Whitmore like uh doesn't go with the rescuers. He puts on this like brave face of like, "I'm gonna stay here by myself." And then he comes out at the end and he's crying. He's like, "Take me with you. I want to go home." Yeah.
Hmm.
Great episode. Yeah. Also, he was most famously, I don't think you have you seen Shawshank Redemption?
No, another classic I never gotten around to.
He's in that. And then he's also the hero guy in the Killer Ant movie, Them exclamation point.
Nope,
Okay,
never
it's getting hard.
heard of it. Definitely heard of it for sure, but never seen it.
This is the easy one, but let's keep trying to play. Okay, we have Brenda Vaccaro as Monica Gilbert, the widow of a serial killer victim who tries to help Edward.
I'm sure I saw her in something because she looked very familiar, but I couldn't tell you what she's been in.
So she only has like one famous role. Uh, she's this rich girl who has sex with Joe Buck in Midnight Cowboy, and
That's the one, yeah.
almost bond as like lovers. But yeah, and she's also in Supergirl. At,
Yeah.
not too much of a spoiler, but Supergirl as Faye Dunaway's sidekick. So look forward to that.
I've already seen it. I watched it with you, I think.
Oh, that's terrible. We'll talk about it on the podcast.
I'll probably have to watch it again.
You might have to watch it again, but we'll see. Okay, this is the hardest one. So I should have put on here, but whatever. Martin Gable as Christopher Langley, the elderly armorer turned energetic amateur sleuth.
No, I didn't see him, but when I opened up the Wikipedia for this movie, the first sentence says when it says the film features blah blah blah, it says and Martin Gable in his final role. Like that's supposed to mean something. Um,
So yeah, I was surprised. I didn't really find anything that good on the IMDb, but he was in Marnie.
I did see
Hitchcock's
it.
Marnie.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, and then I don't remember him in this movie either. He was in Billy Wilder's weird. I'll remake the source material. It's called The Front Page. It's basically His Girl Friday, but
You,
the girl is played by a man.
it's a
By
movie you've seen and I haven't, but
Billy Wilder. Yeah, it was okay, but I don't remember. He was a doctor in that apparently. Okay, this one's much more famous, I guess. Uh, Anthony Zerbe as Captain Broughton, the guy brought in to run Edward's precinct and straighten out all the loose old school stuff.
you say he's more famous, and he rung less bells than anyone else.
Well, prolific is more accurate than famous, I guess. But yeah,
Go
because
ahead, I'm always in
he had parts in Omega Man, Cool Hand Luke, and Matrix Reloaded of all things.
and Revolutions.
Yeah, he played one of the Matrix is sort of fine. He played one of those guys who stood around with looking so smart. I don't know. And then my favorite of this list, George Coe as Barbara's doctor, Vincent Bernardi.
You look familiar too.
Yep.
Known for Saturday Night Live.
Yes. He was a first season cast member who basically played like on-site reporters, announcers, commercial spokespeople. Just like, yeah, very dry. And then he also was oddly Archer's butler up until when he died. But animation,
I mean,
obviously. Yeah.
Kramer versus Kramer. Um, okay. Even the Mighty Ducks as a judge.
Makes sense. Got very yeah, like he's very good at playing like normal authoritarian jobs. And then
Oh, and last
finally,
one, he plays Adam Sandler's dad in Funny People. Terrible movie.
yeah, I was gonna say
People like it.
overrated, but I think it's pretty much fallen into forgotten now. But yeah, and then the last one, Jeffrey DeMunn as Sergeant Fernandez Corelli, the guy early in the movie who gives Edward info about the case, but insists that you should probably write it off as a mugging.
I pull up Jeffrey DeMunn on Wikipedia, and he's that guy who's in things, falls in that category.
Yeah, that's why this category got invented.
I don't remember Sergeant Fernandez in the actual movie.
Yeah, like I described, it's one scene in the movie where he gives case information about murders to uh Sinatra's like he's like, don't do it. Just say it's a mugging so you can go home. But yeah.
Can't believe you didn't say Joe Spinell,
I
who
was no,
plays the
okay. I was getting to that. I thought it was too hard because I didn't remember any of his roles in the movies that came
as
up.
someone who is obsessed with The Godfather in high school. He plays Sonny Cheech, a hitman in the montage at the end. And
And also
actually,
yeah,
he comes
sorry.
back for Godfather Part 2 as well.
Okay, so come back to Jeffrey DeMunn in a second, but for Joe Snell, just for the audience, he plays the what's the word? Doorman at the serial killer's apartment building. He takes a bribe so that Sinatra can go up there and investigate. He also played an unnamed character who interviewed Travis Bickle at the taxi cab company, Personnel Man or something like that. And in the first two Rocky movies, he played the loan shark who employed Rocky Balboa.
And he played the title character in Maniac.
Yeah, I want to talk about Maniac on the show. Only Maniac I talk about is Michael Sembello. She's a cold girl. Anyway, Jeffrey DeMunn, you didn't have anything on that? So you didn't. Okay, I'll just tell you.
No, go ahead.
He's one of Frank Darabont's regular players. So he was in The Green Mile, The Mist, and most famously to me, he played Dale on The Walking Dead. But yeah,
I think I managed to avoid all of Frank Darabont's things.
he's actually a good.
He's,
Probably
he's
better
good at
writer
other
than a
things
director,
too.
but yeah, yeah.
He does that type of party plays well.
And then lastly, did you watch that Bruce Willis video I sent you?
Yes.
Did you? Neither of us saw it during the movie, but at some point, Frank Sinatra leaves the restaurant, and Bruce Willis with his newsboy cap pulled like all the way down his face.
Well, during the final chase,
Oh,
and Sinatra stalking the killer, he cuts through a restaurant so he can hide, and so can't see him. And when he's leaving the restaurant, he has to walk around Bruce Willis is walking in, so the cap over his face was hard to tell who he is. Get a good look at him.
yeah. Bruce Willis impression. That's too far, too
I
hard.
was just gonna do. I'm a die harder than my man Bruce Willis.
Respect yourself. There you go. That's better. uh, we got a little bit of time to start talking about the ad concept slash ad campaign. Uh, I thought the title was a little wonky. It's like because and also the first Deadly Sin just kind of sounds like a horror movie to me, like like a more conventional stabby slasher
I was
movie.
thinking like Black Christmas or what's our favorite movie, the Santa one where Garbage Day.
Oh, Silent Night, Deadly Night, technically part two, what you said, but
We actually do talk about Christmas in this film. For some reason, First Daily Sin thinks of a Christmas horror movie specifically, but
and also the commandments is kill, sins is pride. It's kind of a little confusing, but for number one, but yeah, it would have made more sense if it was like the first deadly commandment, but that's kind of a wordy title. I can briefly summarize the poster. Not much to it. I will say we talked about this off air a little bit, but the main thing is that the romance between Sinatra and Dunaway, when that's the B plot of the movie, it's a little misleading.
yeah, they really marketed it because the trailers you sent me and stuff too is it's kind of 1A, 2A plots of the movie, when the most interesting and kind of time-wise they focus on is much more the chasing the killer. They should have much focused more on that.
Well, yeah, it's a hard thing to do both, so I guess it's easier to lead with the romance. Don't make because don't want to make it look like Frank Sinatra's killing Faye Dunaway or something.
Yeah, I guess you could say that the poster's implying that he wants to kill her, but
Yeah, it's kind of quaint and yeah, can't think of much movies like that where it's about a killer and it's stressful and also a legitimate romance plot. It just is very quaint to me.
then a grimy looking New York street, and then uh the murder weapon.
Well, yeah, you almost won't don't notice it. It looks like why is there a hammer on the movie poster?
First Deadly Sin is I love ice picking.
Yep.
Should we take a break?
Just trying to do without oh, there it is. Mm. So yeah, let's talk more about the marketing. We got the tagline. He's searching for a killer. She's searching for a miracle. Dot dot dot. And time is running out. Kind of speaks again to the problem with marketing this movie of the two plots, because it is separated by a clause. He's searching for a killer, and by the way, she's searching for a miracle, and time is running out. But it kind of sounds like she's searching for a miracle, and she's gonna get killed by the killer.
Right, because what they end up writing is right, especially because Faye Dunaway. who at this point had won an Oscar, right? Because she had won for either Bonnie, or she won for Network, or at least got nominated for Network, right? Um,
I think it was a win for network, and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, but yeah,
and you have her lying in a hospital bed the whole movie. I mean,
yeah. I think it's yeah, it speaks to her possibly because I do think this movie has really well written dialogue. So maybe she was willing to exchange a very odd role in the movie for being in a good scene or two. But yeah, anyway, the point is this movie's weird because of the medical subplot. Um, so the trailer is very it is actually a well made trailer. This is it's just funny because back in the days before you could I don't know how to describe it. Uh, they shot independent footage for the trailer of the whatever you call it, the ice pick tool like whipping across the screen, and then they got some like ice skulls and they started busting those open. It was like an effective video, like it was edited well, and it was also just surreal.
yeah, that does a better job of matching the appeal of the movie. God, this movie could use a rewrite to just omit or make Faye Dunaway's character more lively, at least. Um,
Or it just integrated more into the plot. I think a modern movie would have shown more of Frank Sinatra being distraught while being a cop, and you know,
that, the poster and that trailer, it's like, well, people at home are like, I want to go see more movies, but I've seen every weapon that could be possibly used by a serial killer. And it's like, whoa, an ice pick. That's a new one. Take my money, please. I'm gonna watch this 5 times because the ice pick is so interesting. Really
so this raises
focused
an
on that.
interesting general question that's not in my notes. Do you think he used an ice pick as a weapon because it has a functional way of killing people better, or just because he had one better and he's crazy?
It's hard to say because he's so loony that when Frank Sinatra gets to talk to him, he doesn't answer questions in a normal fashion. But he does go on a diatribe about how you get to know people when something about, did he say the spirit leaving their body? Something like that?
Yeah, I
Something
mean, sounds right.
makes a connection so again, it's not explained. Maybe I could have written a diary entry or something or some VO that, but maybe it's something like their soul leaves their body and he gets to be with them if he drills a hole in the top of their head and it gets to come out.
Yeah, I think he's my big IQ word here. I think it's reminding me of it's called trepanning or something like that. It's like a
Yeah.
medieval thing where you take a spike and you make a hole in the skull, and it's supposed to like alleviate psychological tension. Kind of reminded me of that a little because he makes this little divot in their head that's like a small circle. Yeah, yeah,
It's actually finally some use for my criminology major. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, it's phrenology, I think. It kind of ties into that where the belief that the ways criminals have particularly shaped heads,
yeah.
and if you carve them into a certain shape, they'll behave better.
And that somehow connects in my head to the the bad guy. He shaves his head. Something about the skull being visible. Moving on.
What if he had hair loss? Because his wig just gives him hair. It's not a dynamic wig.
Yeah, but in theory, if he had more time to do more murders, he may have had a series of wigs to hide his appearance. But like, it's more interpretation in the audience, I guess.
Do you think?
Anyway,
Hold on.
yeah.
Sorry, this is the last time I'm
Sorry.
talking about though. Do you think the villain of this movie has schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder or something? Because
So I think schizophrenia is more accurate because he doesn't really change personalities, and that's kind of not what the idea is either. But anyway, yeah, it's very schizophrenic because he can't really talk, he can't really focus on Frank Sinatra when he's talking to him. He gets very paranoid when he pulls him out of his weird, like sleeping cupboard gimmick.
it's just he's so different when he wears the wig and is a high level executive. Then he goes home and could have been like American Psycho, where I actually never seen that movie all the way through, but there's a part where Christian Bale's doing sit-ups and listening to heavy metal music. That's
Yeah,
what it kind of reminded me of when he was working out.
yeah, and it's not, yeah, in American Psycho, which I also haven't seen, but it's not really clear how much psychosis he actually has. He may just be uh I don't know. I guess by definition, he has some. But anyway, it's interesting. Does being a murderer make you crazy? I would argue no, but I don't know. Yeah. Good trailer. All right. Time for the first trivia break. Uh, this movie's called The First Deadly Sin. So Jason wrote trivia questions about the seven deadly sins. Yeah. All right. The first question: a famous historical example of pride is when what ruler killed millions of his own people with the Great Leap Forward?
Mao's the tongue.
Yeah, Mao. It's yeah, yep. And then it's a very silly one, but Jason Derulo may have committed the first deadly sin of pride when he said he personally turned what app into what it is today. To quote him, "It used to be just dance videos, but I tried something fun and it changed the app forever."
TikTok?
Yes, he claims he invented modern TikTok. Jason fucking Derulo.
Wow.
I guess general talk about the characters in this movie. I liked that. It's hard to describe, but I guess it's not. You just show a bunch of people doing their job, and it was very, in general, this movie's very smartly written, very good dialogue. So it never really got none of the characters were really annoying. My favorite example is the Anthony Zerbe as the new sergeant who or sorry, I don't remember what his job was. Anyway, Sinatra's boss, and he's being a dick to Sinatra, but he's also placating him because he knows it's not worth getting like super upset about. I I just thought it was, yeah, a lot of nuance. I have my notes. It reminded me of the movie I loved from the White Razzie's Windows, of like characters who just sort of show themselves through like direct dialogue exchange, but it's not like hammy or melodramatic. This movie is a lot less sentimental and probably more effective than Windows, but similar to me. That was my notes. Yeah.
Dialogue we're talking about?
Also, I guess it kind of bled them together. It's talking about because characters are using dialogue that's not like showy. I feel this emotion, but you get the full world of it just by their actions.
I do think, no, I think Frank's very likable. It's a good character. But I think when we texted after our initial responses of after watching this movie, we both liked it a lot. I still like it, but it leans heavily into Frank Sinatra being a really good cop, like a really good cop of high character who's incredibly efficient and intelligent about his job. Uh, and I really didn't like the police chief character, who is way his character is literally his job is to only stifle Frank. I feel like the only reason he's there is to stifle Frank Sinatra for no reason.
I mean, Frank Sinatra is violating police policy a
But
lot of times.
he's forced into it, which is a theme of a lot of these chasing serial killer. I had to bend the rules because there was no way I was going to catch the guy because no one else believes me. Because he says he literally shows him a thing that says, "Look, there's these 8 killings or whatever. They're very similar in these areas." And then he says, Stop telling me about things that happen in other areas.
Yeah, they did. I thought the movie did a better job. At least the angry police chief like said things that made sense to a degree. I don't know. It didn't bother me as much. It's hard to say, but and I mean, talk about characters. We got to talk about I forget both of his names, but the old guy armorer he like
Mhm.
stole the movie. It was very cute, very cute. That speech he gives where he's like, "I am an old retired armorer. Please give me something to do."
I hate to describe it like this, but I don't know who he is, but there's a black guy that Frank Sinatra consults with, and he tells him he basically parrots the police chief and says he's a rich executive. There's no way you could get a warrant to search his house for a murder weapon. Just all facets of the institution are telling me he can't do it,
Yeah,
and and I don't think it's entirely logical.
yeah. I mean, they were trying to retroactively build up the quasi dark ending, which we'll get to at some point, where he murders the killer because he can't because there's no way to arrest him. And Sinatra's gonna get exposed as breaking into an apartment. So it's like, yeah, I agree. I didn't say it bothered me. I think what helped a lot was they hired a lot of good actors to play all these parts. So even if the dialogue was wanting, but yeah, it's fair. Yeah, this movie felt like it had a good plot because it was propulsive and well acted, but the actual like beats by beats of the investigation, it's not like Chinatown or any number of great cop movies where you're like the case is so complicated and you're figuring it out. It's very like A to B in hindsight. But yeah,
no, it's just it, it just adds to the frustration is that they do a great job and it's fun watching him do the research uh with the armor you're talking about, and then it just feels like that should be rewarded, not scolded. It just didn't feel logical. I
yeah. But you can't end the movie with a happy ending because the wife spoiler the wife's gonna die. So yeah, he has to be forced to retire from the force after he murders the guy and stuff. So the movie kind of has to set up bad things happening.
I think even more powerful is the juxtaposition of doing a great job at work, uh, struggle, overcame a vicious struggle to get a deadly killer off the streets, and then run to his wife to celebrate the good news, and she's dead. Than what they do
Yeah,
here.
we're too early in cinema history for such nuance.
1980s too early. Okay,
Well, it's very noir. The movie's very noirish in its ending. Both endings, you know.
I thought that too. It is a throwback to film noirs of The Big Sleep and such.
All right. So I normally talk about dialogue, but talk at the death. I just think yeah, the screenwriter did a good job of yeah, show not tell with the dialogue. I like it. Let's talk about the structure. So the opening image of the movie, we you already said it, but it's kind of it is kind of serial killer-ish because it's like it's a dark New York street and this guy gets jumped by a shadowy figure with the ice pick hammer. And it's intercut with some of Faye Dunaway being sick in the hospital. But, yeah, which sets up the dual narrative.
Specifically, her needing emergency murder surgery because her infection spread to her kidneys.
Yeah, that's sad. So yeah, the protagonist of the movie very clear in this film. Frank Sinatra himself as Edward X. The X stands for excitement. I think I made that exact same joke already. Edward Delaney. Yeah, it's his case. His wife. This is the most cut and dry protagonist in the history of cinema, pretty much. Yeah. So the interesting thing about this movie is the ordinary world of the character, we don't really see it up front. There's no like prologue where Frank Sinatra's doing his job and da la di da, and or the wife's not healthy and gets sick. The movie kind of starts in the middle, and then you get hints of things that are going on. Like we learn, well, obviously Frank Sinatra's old, but also he's supposed to retire soon, and then we learn about the seriousness of his wife's illness. So I thought it was interesting that they sort of unpacked it. It makes sense it's based on a book, I guess, but they unpacked it going forward as opposed to like dropping it in the audience's lap, or whatever.
God, if I kind of annoying how many cop movies and stuff have one more case. A lot of times it's a supporting character who gets murdered, so that motivates the younger, attractive-looking cop to kill the bad guy. So at least it's refreshing. They gave an old guy a job. The old guy gets to be the old guy who has one more case gets to be the main character.
Yeah, it's an easy thing, but it works well in this movie that Sinatra's old because he's playing off of all these younger by the book cops. I mean, like you were saying, it's kind of flimsy and they shouldn't yell at him as much, but at the same time, it does play off of their basic age demographics, which I find interesting. Uh, Another thing I find interesting because in a movie, it's like you see what the character needs to do to improve their life and be a happier character overall. And this movie kind of like shows that Frank Sinatra needs things that can't happen. Like he needs his wife to get better, but he has no control over that. And then, spoiler, she doesn't get better. And then also, in order for his police work to get better, he kind of needs to not retire and not be old. So I thought the movie did a good job, I guess, of capturing, I don't know, a sort of melancholic ennui about getting old as opposed to a solvable situation.
I actually disagree about Frank Sinatra and Faye Dunaway. I think he knows she's gonna die
The
because
whole time.
I don't know the whole time, but the dialogue about how he's gonna have an extravagant Christmas dinner, go to their buy a new vacation house, how he's gonna tinsel the tree for her. He's trying to make her feel better in her final days, type of thing.
Oh, I read it more literally that he's retiring, so he probably has a little more discretionary spending planned or whatever. But
He's hoping he's wrong, but for his wife to lose a kidney unexpected at the beginning of the film, I think leads another path of not being optimistic about the whole deal. But I don't know. It's hard to say. This movie
seems
doesn't. And movies are probably better when they don't explain things, like over-explain
agreed.
things. But they didn't. Obviously, there's no scene where they explain how Frank Sinatra feels the odds are with his wife surviving.
In my opinion, I think you're acting a little smarter than the movie is. I think because the whole thing about when Sinatra finds out about the kidney, he desperately tries to hunt down George Coe's character for an explanation. So I don't think he knew what was going on long term. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my interpretation. But yeah, yeah. Uh, Trivia break. Okay. An example of greed is when King Leopold II of Belgium turned what free state in Africa into his own personal hotbed of slave labor to make rubber and ivory. The free state shares its name with a modern country with capital Kinshasa.
The Dutch Congo.
So it's called the Congo Free State at the time. Now it's called the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I get a little confused with my Congos, but you got it right anyway. Yeah. Congo. Uh,
First thing was how convoluted that question was.
well, it's hard to write a question about the Congo Free State where you try to give a clue, a bonus clue, whatever. You write the questions. I'm dragging this shit up and down the court. Next question. Gordon Gekko once said, "Greedy fictional characters, for lack of a better word, are good. Greedy fictional characters are right. Greedy fictional characters work." Anyway, what is the name of the fictional airline in Wall Street that Bud gives Gecko a tip on? It is a compound word with a color and a large object.
Blue Star.
Yes. Brilliant Michael Douglas impression. Brilliant. Uh, so what movie event sucks the character's life into the story? Uh, I think it's just pretty much it's yeah, Edward finds out about the okay, so okay, it's Edward finding out about the killer. So why is Edward so I don't know, timeline of Edward figuring out that it is a serial killer and him being convinced that it is a serial killer? Can you explain this to me?
Again, not a lot of explanation, but he's been around the block, been a cop for a long time. So he probably has, he's very dedicated to his job, so he probably has an encyclopedic knowledge of murders going around town. So I think he remembers these murders are in different parts of New York, and due to his experience, because I didn't like the people yelling at him, but a thing that's true about them is that they're clearly a lot younger than him. So it's the benefit of experience for him to notice patterns in crime better is how he initially suspects and starts investigating the link.
Yeah, because it's pretty weird. You have a murderer in New York, and you're like, I gotta stop this to stop all these killings in New York. I mean, it's like, I don't know.
Well, the doctor tells him, and any decent, half decent forensic whatever would not tell him that could see obviously that was attack with a blunt object,
Mhm.
so it's obviously a murder and not natural causes. So, well, don't you want policemen to stop murders from happening if they can?
Yeah, it just he starts talking about serial killers. It felt like pretty. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those movies that you have to pay attention. I don't do that when I watch movies. I refuse. Okay. Anyway, so what is the fun and games of this movie? It's actually kind of obviously the fun and games ends up being, can Frank Sinatra solve this case, and how is he going to do it basically by himself and with his the help of his non-police friends. Uh, but then the posters and the movie is kind of like, oh, his wife's sick, which is kind of a weird side piece to the fun and games. But I guess it's just sort of like, will Frank Sinatra figure all this stuff out, including his wife's illness and the crime? You agree?
Uh, yeah, it's again, just wish they rewrote the Faye Dunaway part. Again, it's not good. It's not good for her, and it's not it ruins the fun and games. Um, but it's a fun ride to be along for the ride for how he's going to find the killer, especially because, as you brought up, the entertaining cast of characters, not only the weapons expert, he stands out the most because it's very unique speaking style.
Yeah, it's very old world
And
British sounding. Yeah, yeah.
but Brenda Vaccaro and James Whitmore as well are also good and provide good insight into helping him.
Yeah. I did think it was a little well, I don't know what the word is. A little cheesy, I guess. The way Brendan Vaccaro was like, my husband died. Don't talk to me like that. Or whatever. I don't know. It's felt like, I don't know. It was a little rote, a little generic to me, but whatever. And then what obstacle comes along to take the joy from them? Joy from the protagonist. I think it's basically that he can't get the police to do anything about uh serial killer's apartment.
That too, and also he has to try a bunch of different things. Um, their initial instincts on the weapon are wrong, and then they have to try again. It's a lot of trial and error, so they keep plugging away, I guess. But
Because I think he knows once the cops won't give him a warrant for the hotel or whatever, or the apartment building, he's gonna have to kill the killer himself, and he ends up sort of getting away with it, but he probably thought he was gonna go to jail, or at least if he did that. But yeah,
that is weird how he murders someone, doesn't do anything really, try to cover it up, and then,
while the cops are on the phone, like literally, yeah.
well, because the cop on the phone says, "Hey, a guy in the penthouse got murdered. You want to look at it?" He goes, "No, I'm retired." And then I guess if you retire, you're absolved of all your sins as a cop.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's probably good at cleaning up a crime scene because he's a smart guy and a cop and all that, but it just doesn't seem likely, especially because the bellhop is knows whose apartment it is. The bellhop doorman, but whatever. Real world, he's going to jail. Yeah.
Did someone want to? Yeah, because yeah, they'll interview the people in the hotel and be like, "Was someone interested in the room that the guy got murdered in?" "Oh yeah, there was a guy who bribed me to get the
Yeah.
key."
There was this detective with beautiful pipes, and then that was very similar. The motivating action that allows the protagonist to get what they want. I mean, Sinatra was there waiting to go into the apartment, so he just bribes. He's able to bribe the doorman. That's pretty much it. I don't know. Pretty direct action. Yeah. So here's a bonus section for the plot of the movie. So okay, we discussed already. The end of the movie is he kills Sinatra. Not the movie, but the top part. He kills the serial killer, takes the law into his own hands. Da da da. So my question for you, Marcus, is: does this alternate ending from the novel sound better or worse?
Okay.
So instead of killing the serial killer there, the serial killer gets a whiff of Frank Sinatra coming after him, and he flees into like the woods or something, and he holds himself up in his hideout. Sinatra can't get to him, and the serial killer slowly dies of dehydration,
Oh my God.
and the police take away his body, and that's the end of the novel. Does that sound better than the movie?
Is that appropriate for any movie? No. No.
Kind of realistic, but
Dehydration? What was it, 30 minutes of him going, "God, I wish I'd get a drink." Uh,
God, I wish I could a drink. That's kind of acts in the movie, but
so he runs in the woods and then he's afraid to leave because Frank Sinatra's
well,
around.
it's like a police stakeout. The cops are gonna arrest him in the book, or Sinatra is at least.
No, no, Lawrence Sanders is a terrible writer. That's horrible.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
If anyone says that's a better ending and you're not Lawrence Sanders, I think something's wrong with you, to be honest.
And that's like the first in four books too. So Edward Lenny came back after that ignominious ending,
Should have done 10 because he's Roman numeral for 10 for a middle name.
or seven, I guess. But
X.
okay, so the deadly. We're doing different jokes. The deadly sins. You should have called Edward Lenny should have started in the Ten Commandments books.
Or should they name to Edward VII Delaney?
Then good night, everyone. Uh, another weird thing in this movie. This movie just loves. I guess it is literary. I guess, but how is the protagonist world different than it was at the beginning? The 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 end of the movie set up at the beginning of the movie. Faye Dunaway's sick. She dies. Frank Sinatra's got to solve the case. He solves the case. He was going to retire. He retires. It's all one to one. It's like ping pong.
it's I will get yeah, it's what the marketing's going for and what they follow through with in the movie. It's two-pronged. Uh, will it happen or will it not happen? Suspense for the audience. And you get the good news of the serial killer hunt is over, but they get the gut punch of the wife dying. So it leaves him and the audience, which I think I much like criticized the screenwriting of this movie before about the whole obvious themes of institution being against the good cop. Um, I think by the end of the movie, if the audience feels the way the main character does, well, and cares in general, then you kind of accomplish your job. That's how I feel. That's probably how you feel, right? That you feel sorry for Frank Sinatra that his
Yeah. I never thought Faye Dunaway like overacted playing a dying person. I didn't think Frank Sinatra undersold the emotion of being her husband. I found most of this movie to be believable, and it reminded me a lot of day to day. Kind of like the big comparison, but kind of like The Wire, where it's like day to day of being a policeman. It just feels very authentic. This movie, but yeah, yeah,
I think the alternative would have felt disingenuous to the audience if Faye Dunaway turns it around and let's go to that vacation house. It wouldn't fit.
yeah,
I don't think it would have fit with the way the rest of the movie feels.
yeah, yeah, probably. And then the closing image of the book, well, yeah, she dies, and he's reading that children's
That was
book.
bizarre.
Honey Bunch. Honey Bunch went to a mommy and daddy and said, I love you very much, mommy and daddy."
Honey Bunch flew to the moon and he found his friends and pals. Yeah.
In other words, it's Honey Bunch.
Honey Bunch and his pumpkin patch. Like, can't re- I think
Yes,
I remember the whole plot of the
because
Honey Bunch books.
he's holding the book, and it looks like a sixth grader type book. But when he read it sounded like a book for 4 year olds. It was all proper noun, name, does this in 3 words. It was a very simple book. Yeah. So that was a flaw in the movie. I don't buy Faye Dunaway being a big fan of children's literature, but
I thought Honey Bunch was an animal, but apparently it's a girl.
the movie made it very clear it was a kind of Little House on the Prairie-ish girly thing.
Honey Bunch sounds like Peter Rabbit to me, I don't know, or something like
Sugar
that.
pie on a bunch. Faye Dunaway's got a disease. Got a disease.
She can't help herself.
Yeah. George Cole was on Saturday Night Live.
Okay, so just about the whole movie then. Okay.
Yeah. Opens at the killing in New York City. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Weapons expert from a museum.
You think it's a hammer, but it's actually like an ice pick for mountain climbing. Dun, dun, dun. Uh, yeah, I did the closing image. Did the opening closing images match? No. We open with a killing. I mean, we open with her. We do open with Faye Dunaway being sick and Faye Dunaway being sick, I guess, matches, but the serial killer thing does not match the closing image of the movie. So,
Not the closing image, but like I said, the opening movie presents the two conflicts, sick wife and serial killer, and by the end they're both resolved.
yeah, this movie's very literal. There's not, for all of its, I don't know.
If they could have, to satisfy what you're asking, when he shoots the Iceman in the head, I'm gonna call him that, whatever. I think it's a better name.
Nice big head. Yeah.
That's not a good name. Doesn't roll off the tongue. I could have literally in the hospital have Faye Dunaway go bleh or something at the like in the same time.
Yeah, no, it'd be very hard to match. the only thing you could do is if a wide shot of the street and then the camera pulls out of the hospital, which they did, wide shot of the street. They could have matched that better, but that's not.
Or
Yeah,
bolt ahead to Mr. Freeze, and then
Mr. Freeze.
and then close up of the vitals machine with the flatline EKG, I guess.
Yeah.
To show the wife and the killer die at the same time.
No, but that's not first image and last image.
No, I'm just saying because the first image, it's not the first series of images in the movie is the juxtaposition of
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway being sick and needing emergency surgery, and the killer on the prowl doing his first kill. We see
Yes.
kind of them both dying in the same juxtaposition type of way at the end.
Oh, yeah. But it's
I'm not
no.
sure it's better. It's just something they could have done to
Yes.
do the
I
matching you're
agree.
talking about.
Most movies where they don't match the opening and the closing, it's a bad movie where they forgot how to end the movie or it got edited poorly. This one, it actually feels like a better ending the way they did it. So yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I give credit to man Ruben because he said, "What the fuck is this?" to Lawrence Sanders' ending, and then wrote something that flows well with the rest of the movie. I would say overall.
yeah. Try to, yeah, sure. Right. Try to squeeze in the trivia break.
Okay, go
Uh,
fast.
Henry the Eighth was a man of lust,
Yes, he
as
was.
shown when he divorced what wife in order to marry Anne Boleyn.
Catherine of Aragon.
That's correct. A surprisingly lustful character, especially in the Disney version, is what clergyman slash villain of the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
You could say it like it's a frozen yogurt. Froyo or Frollo.
Yeah, it's Frollo, but yes, I'm sure he loved his Frollo.
If you try to Spanish up his name, Froyo.
Frollo.
Go.
El Frollo Loco. Really briefly, this overall rating of the structure.
No,
Uh,
this is after the break.
okay. Okay. Okay, I don't know. I don't think we can really talk about the rating of the structure. It's fine movie. Or the pacing that much is let's see anything to add. Pacing was pretty good.
That's
Pretty good.
felt tight for I think it was just over 2 hours.
Yeah.
It felt pretty tight because it didn't deviate from the most interesting path. I mean, I have been bashing it's, 'cause at least it was quick. I think it's kind of I don't know what so far to say is misogynistic, but you put the main actress in a bed the whole time, whole movie.
Definitely didn't think of it that way, but yeah,
It
I
just
think
just felt disrespectful. But um,
yeah. I think if you didn't have the thing with the way this movie's edited now, if you took out the wife subplot, I think the character of Edward Delaney, what Edward X Delaney, beg your pardon, would have lacked a lot of nuance.
yeah, it's very you kind of want your serial killer movies to be fun, and it does that. So
Yeah, it actually did because I was thinking of this because I listened to a podcast on Zodiac, and it kind of that movie's like much more complicated and stuff, but it is the same thing where the intrigue of can they crack this case or what's going to happen next is like kind of just always there around the corner, like yeah, yeah.
it's one of Fincher's best, and Fincher has a lot of choices for very good movies.
Yes. Yeah. I was just trying to think how old he was at the time this movie came out, but that's not worth getting into. Okay. uh,
He was very young when he did Alien 3 in the 90s.
yeah, he did some '80s videos, but those was mostly like super late '80s, like Madonna, the Express Yourself. probably not working at this time. Uh, talk about the tone. Visually, something about this movie is very appealing. It's like they infused a lot of the shadows with like a blue or something. Like it popped off the screen a lot better than a lot of movies set at night.
Yeah. Um, it's true. There's very little daytime shots in this movie.
Yeah, a little bit with the armor
But even that's like a bright
indoors.
inside visual. It's not even, they're not even outside in the day that much.
Yeah, you might have talked to the wife or the widow outside once or twice, maybe. I don't know, but yeah. And of course, like the exterior shots of the hotel.
That is true. The
Yeah.
first time he talks to her, because she's at the playground with her son. It's daytime, but it's foggy or something.
Yeah. Well, the dialogue with her kind of takes me to the more of the thematic tone of the movie. It's interesting because it does remind me of like an 80s procedural, very like, you know, interestingly shot, high energy, but then a lot of the dialogue scenes, especially with her with the widow, more of like a 60s flat tone to them. That's the weird thing about this movie is that it's mostly modern, but there's elements of like the what's the word plot heavy dialogue style of movie. I don't know. Yeah, that's my thought. I already talked about my vague comparison to Chinatown. I call it my notes. I called it a livable version of Chinatown. It's still sad, still kind of cynical, but it's not gross. Even if you like Chinatown, it's a lot stranger of a ending. But,
We were talking, just want to say, talking about the cinematography is done by Jack Priestley. I think he did a good job, but he doesn't have a lot of famous credits as a DP. But he did work on the camera and electric department. Who knows exactly what he did on Back to the Future Part 2.
wow. I can see why you want a little more experience, older hand on a movie with that much locked CGI shots and stuff. But, yeah. Uh, talk about how original this movie is. Definitely have mixed feelings about this. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I didn't feel like I was in a cliche of a movie or anything, but it is kind of like I don't know, old Sinatra, and it kind of looks and feels like a TV procedural all the time. So, well, I enjoyed it. I guess I kind of feel like it's not wholly original. I think certainly the audiences at the time they wouldn't think, oh, this is some groundbreaking thing, even if it is good.
No, I think they were targeting this movie for older audiences, so it's intentionally a throwback. I mentioned earlier The Big Sleep, with gazillion other film noirs, including Asphalt Jungle, which apparently James Whitmore, the forensic whatever guy, was
Yeah,
in. Um, so that's what I feel like they're going for, and nostalgia for Frankie. Yeah, I already went over them, but a lot of cop movie tropes. Um, God, and we've done how many cop movies now with the 1980 Razzies? We had this, Windows, and uh, Cruising, right? Were there any I'm missing?
see if I can pull it real quick.
I think that's it. Let's just say that's it. The interiors of the police station look exactly the same in every single one.
Yeah, you can
They,
count elements, actually fairly large elements of Dress to Kill as well.
oh yeah, the try to forget Dennis Franz's performance.
His friends being mean to ladies who are work as prostitutes.
I was wondering if Hollywood had a rule. I was wondering a rule, but It's like all these studios and all these productions to do a police station. You have to have that color of brown for the furniture, that color of weird gray for the walls.
Yeah, I mean, it rings true to me because like if you do a in real life, if you go to a waiting room for a dentist or a doctor, they're all gonna look like you know stucco walls with holes in them, and yeah. Anyway, it's not criticism of police station sets. Not really. I
No,
guess
I
it
don't
could be.
really get more creative per se, but just every time we watch a cop movie this for this Razzies run we're on, it just
Yeah,
oh it's this again. It just that thought enters my head.
it's like you're saying. There's nostalgia for older movies, but there's also just nostalgia for things that you know it is. So if you put this movie on TV, you're like, "This is a cop movie. I like cop movies."
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, marketability, which we've discussed off stage about expanding this. So very briefly, I mean, I recommend everyone to watch this movie. It's safe to watch, unlike the Blue Lagoon, and it's good. So why not? But in terms of like, yeah, we basically covered this. It's a movie that is, I don't know, like a lot like Hollywood does in general. It's capitalizing what's popular. Not only is it like you like Frank Sinatra, you like cop movies, you may have liked Frank Sinatra in a cop movie. Here you go. But also Faye Dunaway, Academy Award winning actress from the 70s. She's in this. So it feels like this movie's prepackaged as like a very safe, prestigious experience.
Yeah. That's definitely why they definitely put their two faces up front. Milk that star power, baby.
And it's interesting because the preview and the plot about the serial killer cuts a little more into like the modern. This is yeah, well, it's literally the same year as Friday the 13th. This movie feels like it's hinting at the slasher movie thing because you got a creepy guy at night with a weapon, and the guy's a weirdo. It's like it's almost getting into horror too with the appeal. But
I
yeah,
agree. It's a prequel to Jason Takes Manhattan. I agree.
yes, if only. I was just daydreaming about the. It wouldn't even be funny, but that one kid who tries to punch Jason in the head 600 times on the rooftop. If instead it was a white guy with a hammer getting punched in the head 600 times.
I'm so close to pushing off the roof, but I'm just so tired.
He's got no other moves. He doesn't run. There's no strategy. Okay, it's a bad movie. I'm sure this podcast will cover may cover it. We'll see. Uh Trivia break. Okay, there you go. Yeah. A fictional character who is often envious is what tiny rival of Mr. Krabs, the SpongeBob SquarePants, who was obsessed with stealing the Krabby Patty recipe?
If I felt better, I'd try to do the voice, but it would make me cough if I plankton.
It's me, Plankton. That's pretty close. Uh, so the Incredible Hulk often experiences wrath. What's a sin? Right, a calmer, if egotistical version of a gamma irradiated man is what green-haired psychiatrist in the Incredible Hulk universe?
Doc Samson.
Yes. Let's go into the nominations for this film. Since there's less of them, I went a little deeper. Uh, this movie was nominated for Best Picture, which is a screenwriting award apparently by the Edgar Allan Poe Society for making mysteries. This movie deserved the nomination. It lost to Michael Crichton's The Great Train Robbery, which Michael Crichton directed. I never heard of it.
Huh.
Yeah, it's got Sean Connery and Donald Sutherland in it too. But, yeah, yeah. And then Martin Gable got a deserved Best Supporting Actor nom at the Saturn Awards, but he lost to The Shine Boy. Scatman Crothers for The Shining.
Get the shine.
Hong Kong Fooey wins again, right? I don't know what that means, but and then the only Razzie nomination for this movie, uh Faye Dunaway was nominated for Worst Actress, losing to Brooke Shields in The Blue Lagoon. This is just lazy publicity hunting by the guy running the Razzies.
Well, he
Yeah,
probably I even worse. This is where I get to the chauvinistic parts of it. There's a couple scenes. There's one I can't remember where in the plot it takes place, but there's one scene where she's like I don't know if she's coding, but she gets worse and she has very vampiric makeup. So she looks uglier is what I'm saying. If you look at it that way. I I think it might have been I can't know for certain. They'll never hear these guys talk, but pot shots of how she looks as a sickly woman.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, you criticized. I think most people would agree. I thought it didn't bother me as much, but it was a marginalized part. She's playing a sick person. Kind of weird. Her
Yeah, say
sexual chemistry with Frank Sinatra. There's a lot of things going on that are not positive for the role.
my guess is I'm never gonna read the book. My guess is Lawrence Sanders had that in the book, and I wish Man Rubin, who did we already know improved the ending, got her out of bed at some point at least.
Yeah,
It's not fair to any actress to have them lie in bed the whole movie. I know I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry, but it's just
but she still did a good job acting, and whatever. She shouldn't have been nominated for a fucking Razzie for this movie. It's ridiculous,
it's
but
not fair because the people will just see that she got nominated for a Razzie and then think, oh, wow, Faye Dunaway really, she was so good at networking that a few years later she was terrible in the first Deadly Sin, and that's not fair.
if the Razzie guy was psychic and he knew that Mommy Dearest and Supergirl was on the horizon, he wouldn't even bother with this shit. And then its whole problem with okay, I guess we haven't discussed this officially on air, but whatever. After this year, the Razzies went to 5 nominations for every category. This whole 10 thing was ridiculous. And it's
There's 10 nominees for Worst Actress.
every category. Well, except for not like I think song or whatever didn't get 10, but yeah.
Oh my God.
We've gone through a lot of them if that's what you're worried about, but yeah.
The following years will fly by.
Well, we gotta sort out the what's that shit called? The
Oh, bad stinkers.
with their 40 honorable mentions for worst picture, but we'll discuss that at a later date. Okay, moving on. Where was I on this? Oh, the Razzies, yeah. So we're near the end. Go ahead and give your mini review and score out of 10 and where it ranks in the Razzie Pantheon of 1980.
There's so many in the Pantheon now, it's hard to rank them now, but uh it's a solid movie. Uh Faith Dunaway being stuck in bed the whole movie and the police station tropes and cop tropes aside, it's what a serial killer movie should be. The audience is invested in the hunt for a serial killer. Um, and it really breaks down the details nicely of finding out where he is, the weapon. Um, it wasn't didn't nail it, but the motive part was, I think, nice at the end, interesting at the end with how crazy he is and such. It's a very solid movie, which is always a pleasant surprise with the Razzie. So it's one of the better ones. I put Shining number one, Sanity number two. What did I have at number three before? That's my homework is to rank them so I can and have it in front of me so I can slot things in better.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll probably I like this more than Windows, for instance. So I'll probably put this at three for the year.
Yeah. What was your score out of 10?
Oh, especially for a Razzie movie, I give it an 8, despite its flaws.
I think our reviews are pretty similar. Like you say, it's a fun watch. The compounding of police work, but intelligently written with chasing a murderer. I really liked the Faye Dunaway thing. I'm like the only one out of two, I guess. But I just thought it added a lot of shade in a positive way, more like shading, I guess, of Frank Sinatra's character. Gave it depth. Thought it was played straight, played realistically, despite the fact that she's in bed. I mean, that happens to people in life. Slight negatives. Like I mentioned, there's just bits and pieces of dialogue that felt like it was a lot older school, and it was kind of like there's such good dialogue that the bad dialogue stands out, and the ending of the movie is kind of a letdown for me with the case. I know you mentioned it's kind of a positive, but to me, was some odd acting choices by the actor who played the killer, and in the pantheon of movie villains, it just felt kind of half baked. And oh, he's weird and crazy and lives in a glass apartment and sleeps in a cabinet that folds into the wall, and it wasn't offensively schizophrenic or anything, but it was kind of half-assed in its execution. So that dampened it a little bit, but still positive. Still recommend. Great movie for like yeah 80 90% of the plot. Anyway, 8 out of 10. Recommend.
And we're in the Pantheon.
Oh yeah, Pantheon. Yeah, it's near the top. I like the reckless ambition of a cruising, but especially Windows, which is probably my favorite. That those are a little more unique films. This one's like a good version of a solid movie as opposed to a weird ambitious movie like those other two. But it's somewhere it's up there. Candidate for number one. Close.
I looked at what we've seen so far. I'm knocking it down to 5 because I like Friday the 13th better, and I like semi-controversially Flash Gordon more.
Yeah, I like parts of Flash Gordon. It's I mean, yeah, the song's number one. But the universe. Right, trivia break. Uh, can you name both 21st century animated movies that star sloths? One of them is named Sid. One of them is named Flash Slothmore.
Technically, there's been 2 Zootopia movies, and they both feature sloths.
But you're doing the other movie's impression.
I was trying to comic book guy, but I have a cold for one thing,
Oh,
so
it's weird. Your sick comic book guy sounds just like the Sid from. You didn't say the movie.
oh, sorry, you're queuing me up. I don't know what I did compare to do their hand there.
I'm making Italian pasta.
Well, there's been like 7 billion Ice Age movies, so
I only need Ice Age. I don't need the whole legacy.
you could have said Sans sequels or something in the beginning, but that's a harsh critique in hindsight, but whatever.
Okay, so the last question. Homer Simpson is the poster child for gluttony. In the episode where Homer intentionally tries to achieve handicap levels of overweightedness, can you fill in the blanks of either of these two uh Dr. Nick suggestions? So if you want to make a sandwich, instead of bread, use two blanks. Or if you want to chew gum, instead chew blank.
God damn it. Piss me off, I can't remember either of these because they're legendary. For bread, use ham. I don't know.
Two Pop Tarts. And then,
Oh, I got it.
yeah,
Instead of chewing on gum, chew on mashed potatoes. That's not it.
chew bacon. That's one of the greatest episodes, at least for the first half
Oh,
hour. So it's good.
there's a lot of quotable things throughout the movie. Where's the any key? Stupid lazy farmers.
Yeah. All right.
I don't.
Time to guess the next movie. There's not much to say. Okay, your first clue. It's a movie I've seen before. And it's a comedy drama set at a Wild West show, directed by and starring Clint Eastwood.
I don't know any Wild West show Clint Eastwood movies. And I love Clint Eastwood. Um, The Last Rodeo.
Okay, your second and final clue. The movie's two words. First word, a Denver NFL player. Second word, the kid.
Bronco, these t-shirts are too tight, Billy.
What's the show called? Bronco Billy? Yeah, yes.
I don't know.
Super Bowl Saturday? Bronco Billy is our next movie. When Clint Eastwood made comedies that were fine. It's available for paid rent or purchase on Amazon or other fine movie retailers on the internet. So with that, we'll see you next week for Bronco Billy. And until then, the first deadly sin is not to enjoy Twin Bill.
Do, 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 do.
Book me on your shows, or let's be best friends and hang out. Maybe I don't know.